What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Elevate a Crypto. Today, what we are going to talk about, very similar to our last video and the Bitcoin pullback. We talked about last time how I wasn't really alarmed by it. And outside of telling you how every time Bitcoin has pulled back, it has always came back to reclaim that level and exceed it. Outside of that, we really didn't go into detail why, right? Now, yesterday I made a tweet. If you follow me over on Twitter, you've seen it. That I said, like other things in life that change over the years, right? Your taste buds develop and change over the years, things mutate. I think the Bitcoin cycle has mutated, right? And I think it's safe to say that now, and the pullbacks that we face and are in going forward really can't be compared to the ones of old, right? Because too many things have changed, and we're going to talk about that today. So let's just jump right into it. We'll look right now, first things first, Bitcoin dominance. We always pay attention to that here. A little under 60%. It's good to see it sort of go down. The ETH gas, well, some of the last videos we've seen, it's been in the 300 levels, so it's nice to see that down a little bit, right? Now, let's just jump right into Bitcoin here. We're going to talk about, how this sort of little pullback we're in now relates to others and how and why I think that this is different going forward, right? And we really can't compare some of the real traumatic pullbacks it's had in the early years to where we are at now because there's too many variables this time that are different, right? So let's scroll down here. We're going to take a quick look at the chart. Now, scrolling it out here to max, one thing I want to point out, it takes us back to about 2014, 2013. I went back a little further, right? So I'm just going to read off to you here a couple of the peaks and bottoms of the early years before we get into this chart. In 2011, Bitcoin peaked at $29.58. That was in June of 2011. Now, the same year, November, it was down to $2.14, right? Followed by November the next year, 2012. Now we went from $2 in November 11 to 2012 November, we're a little over $1,100. Now from that point, it went down, right? But it took all the way till 2015 for it to get its lowest point, and that was 172. But then from there, we seen 2017 happen, right? And we seen the big 19,000 peak, followed by, in 2018, $3,000 bottom, right? But now, things are different. We came back, we reclaimed our, previous high, 19, we hit 20, and now this thing exploded to 60, right? But looking at Bitcoin as a whole, these 30, I'll even say 20 to 40% pullbacks really don't alarm me because they're sort of part of Bitcoin's DNA in a sense, right? And just looking at the last 6 months, let's look at the last 3 months. We've seen the run up here from 20 to 40, right? Then we lost half of that, settled back in around 30. Then we went from 30 to 60. So again, seeing this come down to the 40s, I'm not really alarmed, right? Because judging by some of these past ones here, going from 30 to 60, I wouldn't be surprised to see it come down to 45 like we are. Possibly even 42 before you get the next leg up. So sometimes, if you're new to this and you're just getting in the space and you just buy up here and oh no, things are falling, or you were new back here and just bought and oh no, history's shown that patience has held out, right? Patience has the upper hand here because it always reclaims and goes higher. So don't be alarmed by these pullbacks. Again, going all the way back to 2011 to now, it's sort of part of the game and part of the DNA. But now I think after 2017, things mutated, right? And I say that to say, like, I don't believe we're going to see, Bitcoin ever go down to 20K again. Is it possible? Who knows? But there's things that are different, right? First thing I want to talk about, this was an article here from Decrypt. Dorsey, Saylor, and the Winklevoss twins join MIT campaign to protect Bitcoin. So unlike days of the past from, 2011 to 2017, many things are different now. Now while we are quite lacking in the mass adoption, we do have institutional adoption. And along with that institutional adoption, you're seeing things like this, right? People come forward and sort of campaign to protect Bitcoin. How can we research its development and strengthen Bitcoin's infrastructure going forward? Again, these are things we didn't have years ago. The interest level wasn't this high years ago. Bitcoin wasn't a $1 trillion asset years ago. So things are different, and if you can't see the bigger picture of that and you're sort of narrowly focused, you're going to miss some of these things, right? You're going to miss some of these points. Now we talked about Square, right? And Square buying another 170 million in Bitcoin. Now their first buy was 50 million worth of Bitcoin. Now that happened in October. I have a couple little notes here. They may not be in this article. But it said here in its quarter 4 earnings statement, Square revealed it has bought even more Bitcoin. Its October purchase plus its latest buy amount to 5% of its total cash. Square reported 1.76 billion in revenue from Bitcoin trading in quarter 4. Again, that's huge. And it said Square is loading up on more Bitcoin. Now, the second time around here, now their first purchase, let's focus on that real quick, happened in October. They spent 50 million. The price of Bitcoin then was around 10.6, right? They ended up with a little over 4,700 Bitcoins. Now they come here to this second buy, right? They spent 170 million. They got a little over 3,300 Bitcoins, and the price then was around 51,000 per Bitcoin. So you think, wow, that's kind of high. Now, when you factor these in together, right, they spent 170 million and 50, so we'll say 220 million to get the 8,027 Bitcoins that they have. Their price per Bitcoin is 27,000. So even in this dip, they are still in profit, right? Very interesting. A lot of people don't think of that or don't think to factor in the two buys and see, the Bitcoins they have. What is the average price of them? So I think that says a lot. And if you look at their first buy, right? Their first buy was at 10,600 per Bitcoin in October, 50 million. We've seen that 10K per Bitcoin go to 60, right? Almost 60. So let's even just say it went to, the 50 and change it did. They seen their first investment of 50 million grow to 250 million. Amazing. Again, things are different now. Here's another thing I wanted to point out, an article off of Decrypt. Mohammed El-Erian, Bitcoin captures 3 things central banks should be concerned about, right? And 3 different types of investors that are flocking to Bitcoin. Now we're going to go through this real quick. The 3 different types of investors I wanted to highlight here. Now this guy, if you're not familiar with Mohammed El-Erian, he's a chief economic advisor at Allianz and the former CEO of PIMCO. He says the current Bitcoin bull run captures 3 things in his framing. 3 types of investors that central banks should be concerned about right now. Now, he's also the president of Queen's College, Cambridge, and he's a board member of Under Armour. He made these comments in response to a question on Wednesday at a seminar for business journalists held by the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School, where he is a part-time professor. Now, he said there's 3 groups of investors, Bitcoin investors right now. The first group are people who really think Bitcoin will become money, right? If you're a central bank and you have a monopoly over money, that's not very reassuring that you have all these people thinking that, Bitcoin will become a currency. Then you have a second party who's adapting Bitcoin for negative reasons. Basically saying, why buy, they want to diversify, right? Do you really want to invest in a government bond whose price has been artificially jacked up? No. So let's diversify and take 2 to 5% of our holdings and put them in Bitcoin, sort of as a hedge, right? And in his eyes, that's doing it as a negative reason, but still, it's still a reason. Now, the third camp are the speculators, right? Where else, and this is true, where else, I say this to my friends and, even my brother-in-law, I was talking to him about this, but where else in the world are you going to get literally 20% returns or losses in a single day, right? We see some of these cryptos do magnificent gains in 24 hours. There is nowhere else in the world that you're going to get that much of a return on your money. So again, I think personally, not financial advice, just my opinion, but I think the Bitcoin cycle has morphed, right? We don't have mass adoption, but we do have retail investment adoption, right? We're getting there. Bitcoin is now a $1 trillion asset. Things are different, right? Variables are different now than they were. So that's why I say don't get too alarmed by this. Look at the facts, right? And here we looked all the way back to 2011, the peaks, the bottoms, and it's always came back, grabbed that level and exceeded it. So why should we think it would act any differently now? So that's a good read. I'm not going to go through this whole article with you, but again, over on Decrypt, a good read. And then here, something else. Now, another thing different, aside from all these companies, getting involved in digital assets like Bitcoin and other things, but we also have a Bitcoin ETF now, right? Popping up in Canada and other countries. Again, another variable that's different now than from 2011. I don't think there was any Bitcoin ETFs back then, right? So now, we see things moving, right? We see things moving to like sort of the next level. Mass adoption isn't here, but we're getting some sort of adoption, right? So outside of the main cryptos, the popular Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, the top couple, now you're seeing companies considering other cryptos, right? Because they're noticing the potential that these other coins have. And some of them have, a better potential than Bitcoin, just because where their price is at now compared to where their price could go, it would be a greater return because Bitcoin is already so big, it takes so much for it to double in price. So scrolling down here, I just wanted to look at and highlight some of the other assets that they're looking at. First off, Grayscale already does have 8 cryptos that they hold, and these include Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Horizon, and Zcash. But now they want to, explore out, right? And they're looking at 23 different cryptos, including several high market cap coins, some DeFi coins. So that's, again, pretty interesting to look at. So it says here, the most well-known projects are blockchain platform Cardano, Polkadot, EOS. You see DeFi coins like Aave, Synthetics, MakerDAO. Again, we're moving to a whole new level. I'm going to do a video itself right here on Aave. I really like Aave going forward, but I don't want to get off track, and that's not, what this one was based about. So again, we're moving to a new level. We're seeing people's arms open wide. They're embracing Bitcoin. They're embracing cryptos on levels that we've never seen before. So that is why I tell you guys, do not fear this little pullback. Let's pay attention, let's watch, see where it goes, but let's not panic. Because if there's one thing that history has taught us, Bitcoin has always came back, right? And the comeback was always greater than the pullback. So keep that in mind. One last thing I want to leave you with, another article I found over on Decrypt. Guys, if you are involved in cryptos, you're buying, storing, trading cryptos, whatever it is, please look into hardware wallets. Not necessarily doesn't have to be a ledger. There's, quite a few. There's even some pictures down here. A ledger, a Trezor, a KeepKey. Please look into these hardware wallets. It's one of the easiest ways to sort of up your security on your cryptos. And if you're holding cryptos long-term, trading, whatever the case may be, always good to have a hardware wallet. So please look into that. Hit me up in the comments below, guys, if there's anything else you want to see me cover. I hope you took some value from the comment. Don't hesitate, smash that like button, hit subscribe. That way you are informed anytime I upload content or go live. Also, give me a follow over on Twitter and Instagram at Elevated Crypto. Have a great day.